All right, guys, today I want to talk to you about the coronavirus and the pandemonium that has ensued. Okay, I'm going to make my remarks about it just briefly here. I actually called in sick to work today. I started to feel a little bit sick Saturday night. It's just the common flu, it's just something that has run its course through my entire family. I'm one of the last ones to get it, but I knew if I went in today and it appeared at all that I was a little under the weather, naturally my colleagues would be suspicious and they might consider me the enemy. So I chose not to go into work, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. But yeah, this whole thing that we're seeing right now is absolutely insane. I used the word pandemonium just maybe 30 seconds ago. The word pandemonium in the Greek literally means all the devils. And doesn't that perfectly describe what you see when you go out? When you go to the store, you go to the gas station. I don't know about the gas station, but at least when you go to the grocery store, you see all the devils come out. The impish, the fiendish, the devilish side of people as they hoard things to themselves. They respond to an international crisis in ways that are unrealistic because they're not paying attention to reality. They're disregarding the facts. They're only thinking of themselves. And they believe that they are going to get the jump on the problem and that when the dust settles, they'll be standing and you won't be. The problem with this thinking is that it's completely irrational. Completely irrational. It's motivated by fear and generated by panic. It's just completely uncalled for. When I go to the grocery store and I see what you're looking at when you go, the store, the shelves completely cleaned out of toilet paper, I think to myself, if they think that a 2-week quarantine calls for that much toilet paper, they need to be worried about something much more serious than the coronavirus. And believe me, my friends, there's a lot of things much more serious than the coronavirus. That happens on a daily basis and has been for years and years. But if they're getting that much toilet paper, what should that be telling them about themselves? Good Lord. I just don't understand it. And the produce, I've noticed in the produce section, all the potatoes and carrots and things like that are missing. Why do they not respond like this when the doctor told them they had an obesity problem, a cholesterol problem? What? They weren't doing that then. And there's a large number of people that I'm sure have been told that. So the people are acting completely out of fear, and they're being completely emotional, and it's making them appear selfish, devilish, impish, fiendish. Because that there are people out there right now selling this stuff that we normally buy for pennies, nickels, dimes, and dollars on the internet at an inflated price, and they're going to get it. Well, hopefully not. But we know it happens all the time. The problem is down here in Florida where I live, we see this happen almost on a yearly basis. It seems like. And I could be wrong about that, but it seems like that we anytime that we get the threat of a hurricane bearing down upon us, people go to the store and do the same thing. But we even see them empty the gas stations out of gas completely in their reserves. I mean, there's the point where there's nothing left. And it's uncalled for. They highly overestimate the calamity that is heading our way. And then they overestimate their ability to use good judgment in what they need and what they don't need. And it's because they're not looking at all the facts. They're not paying attention to reality. And they certainly didn't learn from all the other things they've ever gone through that left their mark. Why do people choose only to act this way at a time they think the circumstances are dire? You see, there are people that I've seen in my own community that they went through the hurricanes, and when the hurricanes were done and over with and everything was cleaned up, they started planning wisely for the next time this should ever happen. They would get generators. They would store water slowly over the year. They would take precautions instead of having to panic the next time. That's wise. That's sensible. That's using good judgment. But to only respond in the moment of a crisis is foolish. There's a story that I want to tell you about, of an old doctor who was approached by a younger colleague many years ago. I'm talking about many years ago. And the younger doctor came to the old doctor and said, he says, "Doctor, do you remember when I came to you a couple of years ago, and I told you about a patient of mine that was really ill, and you gave me some advice, and I gave it to them, and they lived, they survived. But a couple months ago, I had another patient come to me with the same illness, and I gave them the same advice that you gave me, and they died. How do you account for that?" The older doctor looked at the younger doctor, and he said to him, he says, "Well, you remind me of my mare, Sally." And the younger doctor said, "Well, what do you mean by that?" And he says, "Well, you see, one night I was riding through the country after a storm had blown through, and I came upon a stream where the bridge had been washed out. And the only way to get across the stream to where I wanted to go was for Sally to jump over it. But Sally got to the stream, and she stopped. I could not get her to move, so I snapped my reins. And I told her, I said, 'Move, Sally.' So Sally hunkered down, and she jumped across the stream. Now, the thing about it is, he said a couple months ago, I had to take the same path, and I came to the same stream, and over the stream was a repaired bridge. But Sally stopped at the stream. Sally hunkered down, and she jumped over the stream." And the younger doctor said, "Well, how does it have any relevance to my case?" He says, "Well, here's the way I look at it. Sally had a really good memory, but damn poor judgment." See, that's the thing. An animal has an excuse. They have limited knowledge and the ability to exercise it. But you and I, we're not animals. And we don't have any excuse. We might be fooled. We might be undereducated. We might have a lack of knowledge once, but it should make you think. And you might go through a crisis a second time, and it might not be easy, but it should be a little bit easier because you should have learned something. You might still be missing something. And what happens a third time? You have no excuse. See, we went through the Y2K thing over 20 years, about 20 years ago. Everybody thought the world was going to end, that the technology would not make the transition smoothly, and it ended up being nothing. Nothing happened. Then you had things like, well, I don't know when the mad cow disease happened, but you had Ebola, and those are more serious. But people panicked, and it was scary. But and those are things we were unfamiliar with. But those are things of a little more dire. Those are a little more dire in their nature. And then you had H1N1, you had avian swine flu, you had all these other things. And as time went on, people were being told that we can get this under control. We're working on it. But when it comes to this coronavirus, it's kind of funny how people overreact to this more than they did to any of those other things. People didn't act like this about Ebola or H1N1. They didn't act like this about that. And but this has been fueled by the press. It's been fanned. The flames have been fanned, and people are not thinking. They're overreacting. So they go to the store, and for a 2-week quarantine, they buy a year's worth of soap, toilet paper, and produce, and whatever else they can think of. They're not thinking about what they're actually doing. They're being selfish. They're being impish, fiendish, devilish. I can't remember if I mentioned it already in this video or not, but if I haven't, let me say it once again. The word pandemonium in the Greek literally means all the devils. Don't be a devil. Don't be devilish. Don't be impish. Use good judgment, because if you don't, you will react out of fear. You will succumb to panic, and you'll do things that later on you'll look back on and realize it didn't make a whole lot of sense. Look at the facts. I'm not interested in giving all the facts about the coronavirus to you. They're already out there. You need to be paying attention to them. There are precautions you need to take, And there are things you don't need to be so worried about. And look at the things that you deal with every day that are much worse than coronavirus and put them into perspective. Line them up, but start using good judgment, not just in this, but in everything. And if you're one of the people who is swallowing everything up to yourself because you think that's the wise thing to do, take a look at the rest of your life and ask yourself, how much are you using good judgment in anything else? That's just what I think of all this right now. I'm just sitting here at home, twiddling my thumbs, dwindling the day away, and I thought I'd give you my thoughts on the whole thing. So there you have it. If you like this video, hit a thumbs up. Make sure you subscribe. I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.